Welcome to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Emory Hunt, the czar of the playbook, and welcome to our 2017 NFL season preview for the New England Patriots. Now here's a look at what we have on tap for this preview. We will take a look at both sides of the ball in our offensive and defensive overview. We will also give you a reason for optimism as well as a cause for concern. And we will give you a breakout candidate who is an underrated player that'll end up playing a huge role this season. But first, let's take a look at some of the big storylines heading into the season as we get things kicked off in our 4-minute offense. The New England Patriots were very active in the offseason, more than usual, and this year they grabbed some pretty impressive pieces to add to the puzzle. It started with a trade for former Saints wide receiver Brandon Cooks, giving Tom Brady a game-breaking wide receiver that he hasn't had since Randy Moss. In the other trades, the Pats also brought in tight end Dwayne Allen from Indy and defensive end Coney Ealy from Carolina. The moves didn't stop in free agency as they signed Stephon Gilmore, the cornerback from Buffalo, defensive end Lawrence Guy, and running backs Mike Gillislee and Rex Burkhead. So we'll definitely pay close attention to the moves they made and if that pushes them closer to making a return trip to the Super Bowl this season. Coming off a remarkable Super Bowl performance that saw him score the game-winning touchdown, running back James White enters the season as the lead back in the Patriots offense. The fourth-year vet proved in the Super Bowl that he can be that guy in this offense, so much so that New England was willing to let LeGarrette Blount walk in free agency. So to whom as much is given, much is expected, and the expectation will be huge for White this season. Malcolm Butler is still going through contract tug-of-war with the Patriots. He wants a long-term deal at a fair market value, and the Patriots don't want to break the bank. And if this sounds like your standard battle between player and team, you're absolutely right. So we'll see if this gets solved before the season, during the season, or won't get solved at all, and Butler leaves after this year. The pass rush would be one of the questions that you have about the Patriots defense. That's one area where you'd like to see them get better at this season. They made moves to rectify that with a trade for Coney Ealy from the Panthers. They signed Baltimore Ravens defensive end Lawrence Guy via free agency, and they also drafted one of the top pass rushers in the draft in Derek Rivers out of Youngstown State, as well as the versatile Dietrich Wise out of Arkansas, who had an outstanding week of practice at the East-West Shrine game. So it's clear that this was a point of emphasis for Bill Belichick this offseason, and he will be looking for immediate returns on those investments. Right now, everyone's record is at 0-0, and every fan is excited about the 2017 season, and every coach feels as though that this year's team has the right mix of everything to push them over the top. Well, here's why you should be optimistic about the 2017 season. There will always be optimism in New England as long as Tom Brady and Bill Belichick are there. With only one losing season with Belichick as the head coach and none with Tom Brady as the starting quarterback definitely speaks volumes. You also have to be optimistic about the talent infusion on this roster. We normally don't see the Patriots this active in free agency and in the offseason, but the Pats got significantly better on both sides of the ball. This was a team that won the Super Bowl last season and went out and attacked the offseason as if they were coming off a 1-15 campaign. That level of targeted aggressiveness with this coaching staff definitely gives you a lot of optimism for the 2017 season. The one area of concern that's worth monitoring is along the offensive line. They're a pretty stable group, but it's also the weakest spot on the team in my opinion. Weak in terms of inconsistency, but not talent. And we saw this play itself out in the Super Bowl. The Patriots drafted 2 top tackles in Antonio Garcia out of Troy and Connor McDermott out of UCLA to provide quality depth along the offensive front. Every year there's a player on the team that enters the season on the bubble. Maybe he's buried on the depth chart or he's an afterthought, but they end up playing a big role on the team by the season's end. So without further ado, here's my pick for the offensive and defensive breakout candidate. An offensive breakout candidate is tight end James O'Shaughnessy. The 6'4", 245-pound tight end came over in a trade from the Kansas City Chiefs in the offseason. Again, another targeted player the Patriots felt strongly enough to give up a draft pick for. O'Shaughnessy was seldom used in KC, but has the receiving skills of a wide receiver and could thrive as a third swing tight end in this Patriots offense. He'll finally get the opportunity to showcase the skills that made him a 5th-round pick out of Illinois State back in 2015. And Vincent Valentine would be my defensive breakout candidate. I like what I saw last year from him as a rookie, finishing with 11 tackles, including 2 in the Super Bowl. Valentine earned 2 starts last year, but will see even more playing time in his second season. The 6'2", 320-pound defensive tackle out of Nebraska has that dog in him that you want to see from an interior defensive lineman. All right, it's prediction time. So here's how I think the 2017 season will play out. The road to the Super Bowl for the Patriots goes as follows. Number one is pretty simple. Tom Brady has to stay healthy. As long as 12 is back there in the pocket, they always have a chance to get to the big game. And new pieces on offense as well as on defense have to begin to gel quickly. They made a lot of moves in the offseason, both in the draft, via free agency, with some trades. Those pieces have to gel quickly so that way this team can't miss a beat. And I think the sack numbers have to increase. The Patriots have to do a better job of getting pressure on the quarterback. They lose Chandler Jones. They lose Jamie Collins. They lose Chris Long, guys that can really affect the pocket and get after the quarterback. And if those new pieces that we talked about in point number 2, like Derek Rivers, the rookie out of Youngstown State, can come in and help provide that pass rush. Again, I mentioned Chandler Jones, Jamie Collins. They lost those guys over the last 3 to 4 seasons, so they've lost some firepower coming off the edge. They have to regain that, and if those new pieces that we talked about, like I said earlier, can come in and get this ship righted in the right direction, I think they can really improve on what we saw last year on what was a very talented defense. I have the Patriots finishing first in the AFC East. This is a team that went 14-2 last year, won the Super Bowl, and yet they got better on both sides of the ball. I think they're going to be the clear-cut favorite to win the AFC East and possibly the AFC. So that's a wrap for this video. Be sure to follow me on all of my social media accounts as you see listed. And if you want to check out our NFL season previews, as you already should, visit our website at footballgameplan.com/2017 NFL previews. And then finally, don't forget to subscribe on iTunes to Football Game Plan Podcast, where you can find all of our NFL shows, like our new podcast, The Football Cypher, where we go around the table and break down many different football topics. But right now we're in our NFL preseason team preview, so we'll break down the Patriots exclusively, and you can find this podcast and our other podcasts on our website at footballgameplan.com/podcast. Also on iTunes, you can subscribe to Football Game Plan Podcast, where you can get all of our shows, and also you can find it on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/FBGP podcast.